On the morning of October 29, 1999, a terrifying storm, which had been building for days over the Bay of Bengal, made its way toward the coast of India. Meteorologists called it the largest storm of the century, a super cyclone. It struck the state of Orissa, leaving behind devastation. Winds reaching speeds of up to 300 kilometers per hour pounded the coastal villages, flattening everything in their path. The villagers, most of whom lived in simple mud and straw homes, had no chance of surviving the onslaught. Tall trees were snapped like matchsticks. Parents, fearing for their children's lives, tied them to the ground with ropes to prevent them from being blown away. The sound of the wind was deafening, described as like standing directly behind the engines of a jumbo jet. But that wasn't the end. Tidal waves, 35 feet high, began crashing through the villages, drowning everything that the storm had failed to destroy. For 2 days, the storm wreaked havoc, leaving an entire region in ruins. When the storm finally subsided, the full extent of the destruction became clear. A stretch of coastline, 400 kilometers long and 100 kilometers inland, had been severely affected. Over 14 million people had their lives disrupted. About 60,000 people from Orissa lost their lives. Fields and tree branches were littered with ruins in the aftermath of the surge. In the village of Batiagon, just 4 kilometers from the sea, there were only 2 buildings made of concrete, a church and a rich man's house. When the storm hit, about 300 people, both Christians and non-Christians, rushed into the church, seeking shelter. Together, they cried out to the Lord. At around 11 a.m., a massive tidal wave, 30 feet high, slammed into the village, destroying the shacks and sweeping away the rich man's house. But witnesses testify that the waves seemed to split and go around both sides of the building. All 300 people inside survived. Just a few hundred yards away, the village of Dobai was not so fortunate. Every single inhabitant was swept away by the sea, except for one 14-year-old boy named Sania, who somehow managed to survive. In Bartola, only 14 people survived. The villagers of Batiagon all agreed that it was God who had saved them. The Hindus in the area were moved by this miracle. In the aftermath, many secular newspapers began to write that the storm was a moment of transformation and reflection for the state. As the rescue and aid efforts for the survivors were led by Christian organizations, many were humbled by the love shown. Churches reported an increase in inquiries. Through this disaster, the people of Orissa received a powerful witness of God's grace. In the midst of one of the greatest disasters in India's history, a great miracle occurred, not only in physical salvation, but in their hearts. The love and grace of God changed lives. If this story touched you, please like, subscribe, and share. Let's spread His love today.